All right, welcome back, everyone. 皆さん、おかえりなさい。今日は152日目です。It's day 152. We are 3 days in. Right, today's day 3, so we're 2 days into our level 15. Got a lot of things to do today. Let's keep to it. Yesterday was okay. It was okay. I am feeling the coon burn right now, if I would say so. This has been a very different experience, knowing that over 40% of the characters emphasize coon. And because of coon being a much rare attachment, it definitely shows how habit forming that I have in terms of priorities. I have often reflexively acquired reads on coons, on ons when it comes to kanji, right? So I bootstrap through it. And the thing is that ons, up to this point, ons vocabulary, like they typically try to pick something that is very common, like the common reads. And then it's gotten to the point where on reads populate way vastly more often than coon reads. So that type of grouping and association in my head is a lot more robust, and it definitely shows that at least I understand how I make connections. So it's been a little tough road. I actually think if the rest of the experience is kind of like this, I might slow down on the lessons. Largely because I like reducing the amount of novel input if it's exceeding my retention, right? We'll see. Otherwise, I could lower the number of objects or lessons in Hanzahiro, because Hanzahiro is like 20 novel things a day, but it's sustainable because then technically the unique number of information is iterative. So coons are abstractions a lot of times, like when you get used to hearing something, saying something to yourself. Often these reads are pure abstractions in the sense of the literal syllable, right? Like, when was the last time you made the sound po, right? Or bo? And coon kind of fits into that category. So it's been a little bit dicey, this one. We'll see. Obviously, you could upfront go for it, and then it'll normalize itself out, which is what we're gonna do for now. I'm gonna hit it hard, see if those coons, but I'm liking to feel right now the way WaniKani has it laid out. I trust in the Tofugu gang that they chose coons for some of these characters because the vocabulary is very frequent. Like the frequency is higher. They typically prioritize something that they're gonna lead into for vocabulary. It's not always the idea. And what I mean by frequency, I don't mean natural frequency, like in context sentences and whatnot, because they don't do that in SRS. More how many variances of using the utility of this read. So like kaeru is, the utility is great. Kae, which is our recent one, kaeru. And maybe there was some weight on how, like, the core foundational stuff. There is a little bit of JOPT ordering and whatnot going on. There's a lot of considerations that are like nebulous here. I trust that there's a reason they used Kun instead of On. And there are many times where there were enough times that I would say, oh, my prototypic word that I would use actually favors kun over on and that kind of thing. But generally speaking, what WaniKani has basically conditioned me to optimize in my head is that on comes before kun. And this is not isolated to WaniKani. I'm using Hanzahiro, and a lot of times when I think about Chinese reads, it double backs on reinforcing Japanese reads. So now I'm starting to think about how do I kunify my brain, because kun is in isolation now. So kuns do not, the sound and the reads and especially the English, no, not like translational English, mnemonical English, has the technique that they use, WaniKani, which is like near rhymes and stuff. Kuns really stretch the boundaries of what is similar. Like for example, hiru. Oh, heels is used for hiru, and that's a bit of a big one. Recently there was noko for knock. So there's plenty of like kun stretching that maybe I can fill it out intuitively, but I'm very sensitive to sound differences, and it's an interesting experience. I think it's been a while. It's possibly been over a month or two. We've been in steady state for a while, and then this is a new experience, and I like new experiences. And by new experiences, I mean new challenges, right? New experiences challenge the habit well-oiled machine, and I quite like it. Yesterday was quite rewarding in that nature. Things to look for, things I can tweak. Let's go into it. Ido.
Hazusu.
Wow, that was very loud.
Renshu suru.
I'm very excited for today. I get to do one of my patented yap for hours and hours session after this, or after Hanzahiro today. Hopefully. Or I'll try to yap comfortably. Although yesterday I had a very, very long yap session. I'm slightly tired today, but totally cool yap session. I compared the archetypes of Western and Eastern culture. Archetypes, right? Not like actual people, but particular idealistic compare and contrast. Bukio. Okay. Nihon-teki. I like just throwing teki on things. It reminds, there are so far in my like Japanese grammar-y things in the background that I pick up. I think there are 3 or 4 things that really exudes Americana equivalent, and teki is definitely one of them. The idea of like, oh, okay, wow, that really feels Japanese-ish, or very Japanese or something. So you just slide on teki at the end to do the whole like English thing where this is kind of soul like techie. Soul techie. From Soft Techie. I like Techie. Techie is great. Anyways. The other one is using adverbs and combining it with using adverbial form to combine it with a verb. So you can say things like done it rapidly, done it hastily, or done it nervously. I like that form as well. It's one of those like mileage things. If one wants to be, it's kind of like the first time an English student learns how to embellish, like add a bit of personality to their simple sentences. You start thinking about adverbials, like the manner to describe the manner in which someone does something. Next to that, obviously there are adjectives and whatnot, but it's really the act, splendidly do this, exhaustively study Japanese. Like I'm only scratching it, so it's hard. It's still a little difficult for me to amass the body of some more flexibility in very particular ways to describe sentences. And I would likely be the one that's guilty of doing oxymoronic or poetic kind of gestures, and I'm not entirely sure that's natural in Japanese, but I like to use it as an incentive to explore Japanese, which is to say things like, I'm terribly wonderful today. I'm curious how to say that in Japanese. I'm terribly wonderful. It could end up like grinding gears against the whole positive agreements with positive conjugation, negative agreements with negative conjugation, like the vibe. But I quite enjoy those type of turn of phrases, especially in English, when someone's doing it deliberately, intentionally, with intent, not necessarily trying to communicate something. Like for example, in English, I think oftentimes this is done unintentionally when they're trying to communicate a vibe and the vibe gets canceled. Like my intent was to, in this way, playfully contrast words deliberately. However, in English, I think there's this propensity and this colloquialism online to try to sound a certain way and then negate it with the words. So like, for example, when someone is trying to portray like they earnestly disagree but still supportive of the person, the way the subjunctive only have one way to go about it, or typically one very dominant way to go about it, it tends to portray unintentionally, possibly, and maybe even intuitively to each other, unintentionally, in a negative way. So, for example, I don't disagree with that, instead of I'm likely to agree with that. Right? So I don't know where Japanese lands on this. Some earlier grammar stuff have already depicted that. In fact, in their conjugation system and their like formalities and informal system, the earlier stuff, there is often traditionally a concordance between, if you're saying a positive statement and you end with a positive statement, it's kind of like baked in, not necessarily to the word choice itself. In English, it's diction dependent. However, diction dependency often reveals shortness in vocabulary, which may differ from Japanese approach. I think Japanese approach, the nuance and the context heavy emphasis, or the relatively heavier context emphasis thing, gives it more of a feel that is similar to the internet right now when it comes to a colloquial English online. Like when someone says, oh yeah, everyone does that, they really mean most people do that, or they mean they know sufficiently enough people do that. So instead of saying there's a noticeable number of people, there's a significant number of people who do that, I think 7 out of 10 people would say all people do that, which is something that requires a lot of context. In Japanese, that context is inferred by the learning process of Japanese. And great way as a way to explain this sentiment is how there's a double standard, where when a language is being pushed as a context-specific language, or a language that is relatively more context-heavy because of its linguistics, it asserts that a language by comparison does not require that context. And yet that is one of the greatest deficiencies, one of the very most notable deficiencies in English now. Actually, I would double down that not only does English require more context, and what I mean is the act of producing that context. So oftentimes context is often inferred. Inference, as in you read between lines, subtextual when it comes to how people view the word context. In English, that context is provided in a different way. It's provided as a descriptor. So when someone says, oh yeah, everyone does this, elaborate on everyone. Oh, this is just that simple. Elaborate on just and simple. It requires the literal act of providing the context in text or speech. And then context now, at least from my opinion, when I'm speaking about Chinese and Japanese, has defaulted to the idea that it's implicit, as in it's not said anywhere. So that is the word of context now. And context is both verbal and nonverbal. Context is everything. Like, what you say to qualify an English word is context. At least in my opinion. I don't know how it changed over the years. In fact, I thought this might be somewhat unique to Japanese and Chinese language, but after taking some heavy considerations over time, it's baked into video games and the depiction of things. Like, nonverbal communication is considered context. Nonverbal communication, to me, yes, that's context as well, but it's as explicit as implicit. Like, it has heavy weight. To be cognizant of your nonverbal communication, one can be cognizant of that. So like, oh, you have a habit of looking down when you're trying to talk to someone one-on-one. That is often considered context for a lot of people because it's not explicit. As in, sometimes you do it without knowing, right? And then the irony here is in Japanese, you're doing it because you know it's happening, but it's not said directly, so it's considered context. So it's explicit versus implicit. There's something interesting there behaviorally. The reason why I mentioned this is learning Japanese can raise awareness of how English portrays context. When you say things that are often contextually ambiguous compared to Japanese, right? Like, you're making comparisons to Japanese. You explicitly say them. In fact, the reason why I say that is because one of the techniques or things that require a lot of nuance, aka for a lot of people, makes English harder, it is largely because English voice only has indicative in it's viewed as an indicative language by the default, by the most use case. I think 90 to 95% of use cases online, which is my form of interaction when it comes to language learning, view English as an entirely indicative language. So there's a stigma involved in contextual use of contextual subjunctive because it's often associated with, in my opinion, an uncommon use of the English language that people like to divisively separate themselves from. I am currently using a lot of subjunctive to talk about this divisive position, which makes me, in my opinion, statistically unlikely to sound like the majority of people on the internet and the comments that they make on the internet. There is a lot of contextual and subtextual understanding on inferring what am I potentially referring to when someone is separating particular associations with representation, you know? So, and then you're wondering, hey, what did you just say? It sounds like you said a bunch of things, but it said nothing. Like, you're kind of beating around the bush. It feels like you're hiding something. Subjunctive. It's contextual. It is very clear what am I, like, it can be very clear what I'm referring to if someone is subtextually aware of what I'm avoiding or what I'm beating around the bush contextually, right? And I will reveal what an indicative voice would be like. I was talking about politicians, doctors, experts, professionals, your businessmen. When they talk, they use the subjunctive and the indicative in various ways, intentionally. The use of English in colloquial internet is indicative, period. It's 100%, like 99.9% indicative. Like, how was your day? I'm relatively content today. That's subjunctive. Or I find it a little bit acceptable. I have a passable day today. Perhaps it may be incredibly exhausting, but I ultimately find it very rewarding, right? Or I'm good. Thank you. So those are two very different things. And oftentimes one verbosity kind of goes up and the other, conciseness and optimization, happens. I think Japanese gets a pass because even at like some sort of earlier level, there is this repetition or iteration that Japanese is contextual, right? And contextual in the sense that there's no explicit words to provide the context. There's a lot of inference. And I think learning Japanese and Chinese is a great way for me to segue into using English in the subjunctive in order to present a bit of a balance between mystique, empathy, and charisma. Like, how does one promote adequate storytelling in speech? Where does the suspense come from? The cadence swaps and whatnot, because while Japanese have pitch accents and they emote a little bit here and there, English has stress, volume, and speed. So you could treat English like you treat Japanese, or you could be doing something that I do quite often: elongate up and down. In fact, it's kind of using Chinese tonality a lot of times. Going down, going up, circumventing some language and some elongation, do some intentional uptone and downtone in various places, right? Does not necessarily affect the indication and the indicative voice. It does affect the subtextual and contextual things that makes English underutilized, but at the same time, very, very apparent through learning Japanese and Chinese. And I absolutely love it. It's giving me the vibes of... actually, outside of Japanese, I think learning Chinese is revealing a lot about the motivations and the perspectives that I have that do not line up with a lot of people who speak English. Largely because English is literally, I guess to a lot of people, literally a non-tonal language. It is a tonal language. Functionally, it's not mandated to be a tonal language. And also, it's a pitch language. But I don't quite think people elevate their use. And also, we have to keep in mind, texting and writing is the subjective point of reference for English. So hence the whole thing about my slight digression today, which is context. When you have to type it, it's no longer context. Like, what I mean is, it's no longer context in the form of Japanese context. There's less inference the moment you type it. So often English is considered in literal context, which no longer is referred to context. And then context is being used as a replacement for subtext, as in going beyond what is written or explicitly said, or the difference between English is explicit, it requires explicit context, and Japanese have a lot of implicit context. Wild, I tell ya. Sorry. Just speaking out a little to stuff. Really cool. At least to me, that's really neat. It's a really neat contrast. I don't spend time hating on my native language, so I feel like I get that vibe. Maybe it's an unintentional, maybe not hating. Apathetic is probably a more appropriate word. A more appropriate word. Apathy. Or maybe a disproportionate interest is a little bit more accurate. There's a disproportionate interest in between the one's target language and one's native language. And I can certainly appreciate that due to intellectual exploration. Something new and novel seem quite intellectually stimulating by default compared to something that you have done verbatim. I mean, the whole idea of fluency is to achieve a feeling of apathy, in my opinion. The rewards are something attached to acquiring that apathy and using it. So what I mean by that is it's kind of a different way to spin on looking at when you stop thinking about what you say as a benchmark for fluency, or you don't have to think about what the language as you say them. And I don't think I can empathize with that. I do not qualify fluency in the same way that people want to intuit the language. I mean, that's fair. I could still find a way to get to that point, but I still don't really treat it that way. For example, what I'm saying in English right now is actually quite calculated and very intentional. My whole spiel about the subjunctive requires a lot of real-time thought, as I'm selectively choosing the words. Now, it has become very fast, but generally speaking, I still actively think about the things I say most of the time. In fact, sometimes it happens to the point where when I suddenly notice the increased frequency of filler words like, I tend to change it up. For instance, I decided not to use for example there, in place of like. As being active in your language, I suppose. What do we got? Itoteki. So you're willing to write it as a diagram, right? So what was that aspect? Itoteki. Is it like intentional? Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, intentional on purpose. Oops. That's not the character I'm thinking of. Oh, what are you? What? Oh. What? Oh. Wait. Is that? Oh. What? I'm thinking of something else. I have to be thinking about something else. So hold up. I'm thinking of Chinese for the G. Thought it was. No, this is the cake thing. The cake is a lie. Not. That's not the mnemonic, but pleasure. Instead of calculated. Teki. How? Okay.
見返す
I see. That is one of them. Oh, wait. Oh, this is Mikaisu. Whoops. Wait. No, this is right. Oh, I guess they went with to look something over again? No? To show someone what we can do? Wait. To look back over something, yeah. I'm gonna add more. To show someone what one can do is also it too. I think I'm okay with thinking about different ways to word this. Let's say, well, let's try to stick to show someone. Ugh, too long phrasing. There's so many things not great about using a lot of words. I'm more impartial to look something over, but I couldn't really phrase it. Also, I do want to complete this in the next 30 minutes. It's too much time. That's fine. Oops, wrong one. What's this?
"殺人者
I missed the P.
受け入れる
Ukeireru. Old. Ugh. Hmm. Uh.
Ste
Stit. And I don't know. Oh, yeah. Stit. Okay. That took a lot of willing into place.
開閉
I hate. Lots of willing.
おいしい
乗客
Gyokyak.
食べ放題
Behondai. Oh, no. That's... No.
残業
Zangyo. Yeah, what was it keeping it simple? Not... Yeah. Keeping it simple. Oh. What? That's not it. It's one of those like on any other day it would be okay. And today I'm just oh wait, I can later. Yes, we'll come back to it. One of those days, one of those times where it's usually at the tip of my tongue, but then not.
Wagomu.
Wagomu. Whoops. That's Neko.
Matsu.
Matsu. No. Wait. Remain.
残り
Nokori. Uh.
予約
Yoyaku.
材料
Zairyou.
指輪
Yubiwa.
閉店。
A10.
近代的
Indaiteki. This one was a little problematic, right? とても近代的ですね。ですね。That doesn't help. Yes. Yes. Context. Kindai teki. Like of being of the times, modern or contemporary. Oh no. Stop. All right. Hmm. Oh, right.
好む。
Nomu.
目的
Moteki. 'Oops.
由来
Yurai. Yurai.
残念
残念. Oh, disappointing. Too bad, unfortunate. Mhm.
整える
整える. Hmm. How did the temple thing work? Oh, yes, right. Oh, you know what? Just looking at... No, that doesn't work. Oh yeah, that's right. Sooner or later. Okay. What? Oh.
きれい
Yeah. Wait, I'm like, why am I drawing a blank on this? Why am I drawing? I'm later. Move to the end. Too long. We gotta get all the other stuff. Thank you, random Twitch bot. Bam, reminding me my Twitch feed is working. Appreciate it. Daily reminders. What will I do without the random Twitch bot spam? Basically can't even function. Okay.
情けない
That's something nice. Pitiful would be a word. Certainly. Pitiful would be a word.
同期中
Dokichu. Same. How does this work? Same time. Middle of the same time. Thinking. Okay.
松葉
That's about.
暗記する
暗記する
飲み放題
nomihodai. Okay. What? How was this? No. That's not it. What? What is the... I'm looking for a kun for this.
Hatsumimi.
Hatsumimi. It's close enough.
さまざま
Mazama. Wait. To construct a ritual, the ceremony. What is the ceremony about? This was shiki. I was mixing them up. Yes, I was mixing them up.
材木
Daimoku. The anti-slope. It sits in my... I don't know. The anti-slope is good. Somehow that resonates with me. Anti-slope.
雰囲気
Funiki. And I got this mixed up too.
残る
Nokoru.
Joba.
Yoba. Oops. Wait. Yeah. Oh. I typed the wrong thing so many
Yakusoku.
times. Okay.
放つ
Natsu. What was Natsu? Version of... Oh, this was good yesterday, and then now it's not. Oh, I know. The fire to hit, etc. Oh, it's because I read the context sentence. The context sentence was about baseball. There's something different about you, yeah? Honkai no game no something wa tsuyoiそうだ Oh, it's there and it's not there. We're
相手
we're getting into the. Let's just. I think this was
約
Yaku. Oh, just kidding. I need to stop doing that. Jumping right to the. When you have doubt, what are you doubting? Oh, one is not the greatest.
疑う
I guess we'll try. Utagao. Whoops. This is special.
降りる
Oriru.
お願い
Negai. My surrounding. Do some more hand motions. Help out. Around. It's the bird thing.
囲む
Umu. Yep. Yep.
"人殺し
Kokoroshi. Oh, we're coming up on it, and I still didn't think about it.
周囲
Ooh. I still, it's not coming to me.
木材
Mokuzai. Hmm. No, it's not that. Right? No, it can't be that. Yeah, it's not those. I so terrible. So terrible. Kind of rubs me the wrong way. All right. And then what the heck happened here? It's author. What time? Oh, 12 minutes. This one's new. The idea is not new. So, idea is quite similar to the other phrase for author. Oh.
作家
What are you? Yeah, something is failing on the whole simple thing. Oh wait, maybe this isn't simple. No, it's simple. Right? Trying to think of a word that used this. Is it like... No, that's humble. That's humble. Simple. Oh, simple. It's fine. That's okay. I got 9 minutes. Yeah. Try this. Okay. It took so long. Okay. What am I looking at? What is that? I really have no idea what I'm looking at. Let's see. 2 ground picks. Oh, I almost had it. It's not that, but it's... I had it and it's gone. Ah. Both of the Hanzuhiro and WaniKani had both of these at the same time. It's not ornaments. What is it? It's a landslide. Don't ask.
今朝
It's don't ask. I don't want to explain that one. It's not a not an ornament, it's a landslide. And then in Hanzuhiro, it's not a landslide, it's an ornament. Alright, this is day 3. We're gonna go into it per usual. So again, courage, paragraph, past, walk, height, grass, a scarecrow. And now we're just gonna go into our reads. Tera, iwa, ae, haru, hiru, ha, aki, ke, retsu, fu, saka, let's keep going. Shin, ki. I've already forgotten. I keep forgetting this. I just did it and I forgotten it immediately. Yeah, I immediately forgot it. Oh, this is gonna be annoying. This is gonna take me. Okay, let's go backwards. Neko, ban, butsu, ki, an, un. Actually, I gotta double check un. He, jutsu. Oh, actually, I think jutsu is on as well. Asa is kun, right? Actually, nah. Oh, wait. I screwed up here. I'm getting these two mixed up a little bit. This is hara. This is ki. Doku. Doku's kun. No, Doku's not. Okay, that one I could get mixed. Doku. Saku. Fu. Shi. Yeah, it took me so long, and now it's just immediately gone. I don't think we're gonna belabor this. Simple is tan. That's right, tan. Took me so long to get tan. Holy. We don't want to belabor this point. It took me too long to. Yeah, right. Shiki. Actually, Shiki-kun? No, it's one of our new ones. Alright. There you have it. It was okay. Still a little bit rough, but we're getting it. We got so many new reads this time around. I think 50% of them are over 50% are new reads. It's okay. Ton, man, ton. All right, that's a wrap for today for Hanzahiro. I mean, not Hanzahiro, for WaniKani. For WaniKani, if you're gonna watch this later, arigatou gozaimasu, right? Feel free, follow along. Come on by. We can share a few stories, some anecdotes, you know, exchange some ideas. You're always welcome to do so. Until next time, for those who are only interested in Japanese, minasan mata ne. I think I'm just gonna go straight into Hanzahiro. Give me a sec. Thank you.